Good afternoon, lady and gentlemen. It's time for another episode of Open Ice, second episode on YouTube. I apologize for being a little bit late with, obviously I didn't cover last week or the 2 weeks prior, but this episode covers 2 weeks of hockey. So there's that. So you get to indulge upon a little bit more. First up will be the game against Black Ice. That was a, I believe, 6-2 victory. Yeah. I only got the 6 goals that we scored because obviously, it was 6-0 before they decided to get 1 goal. So I'm not going to go put in garbage time goals into a highlight clip. They don't do that on the real networks. I'm not going to do that on my bullshit network here. So just our 6, including a nice goal from Mr. Alstar Patel. And then we'll cover last week's game, a shootout victory over the Rebels. Unfortunately, we had a pretty horrific injury. I'll have kind of a breakdown of what happened there inside the highlight package. You can kind of see it. Unfortunate to lose Brandon Axe, but he's probably, if not done for the season, definitely probably done with playing for a while, if not forever. I don't blame him. It is what it is. Dangerous sport. And you get to a point in life where, it's, you have other things to consider. You have family, work, and just going to the hospital. It's not a fun time, and neither is it a cheap time unless you want to cheat the system, which none of us can do. But yeah, so unfortunately, maybe the end of Brendan Axe on the pickup lines. Don't know for sure yet. I guess we'll find out. But kind of with a somber tone. We'll move on to the highlights. So the first up, you have the game against Black Ice, and then we'll have the game against the Rebels right after that. So they're going to come real quick right together. So there you go. Sit back and enjoy. 2 highlight packages, 2 victories. I don't know what's going to happen with the one specific one last week. Obviously, there was a bit of discussion on whether our player, Josh Greco, was actually on the roster. We all know he was on the roster. Will has evidence of him being on the roster from the start of the season. They send a spreadsheet in. Tyler, who was the then acting hockey director, saw that, and it was okay. If you recall, we had the incident with Fire and Ice where both rosters were thoroughly checked after one team tried to show up with a bunch of B players. So that solved that problem. I think a new guy has come on. I don't know his name. He made his presence known, obviously, last game, and I don't think he had the full story, nor did we have the full story, but I don't think anything's going to happen as far as that goes, barring, of course, something happens between the time that this is recorded, Thursday afternoon, and tomorrow. I don't know. Will would probably update you guys on the Facebook page. I wouldn't know because I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm trying to get off the grid. Well, not off the grid. I guess this is on the internet. But you get what I'm saying. But yeah, so we'll find out more about that later. That brings us to the matchup of this week, which will be 10 o'clock on what I can gather is the main rink. I don't know how accurate it's going to be when we get there. They might switch us over to the practice rink. But another game on the main rink at 10 o'clock tomorrow, Friday, 10 o'clock p.m. Don't show up there in the afternoon. For Tilts again against Fire and Ice. They've had 2 pretty convincing victories since we last played them. I believe they won like 8-something against the Rebels. And then last week they dispatched Black Ice by like 6 or 7 goals again. So they're pouring on the heat. Obviously, we've beat them 2 out of 3 times so far. The one time we didn't win, they had B players. So as long as we kind of keep it together and we kind of play our game, we'll be all right. Which lately it's been pretty good. The forecheck's going. We're getting the puck into the dangerous areas, which is the main thing you want to do when you're trying to generate offense. We're not kind of keeping it along the sideboards, which is what teams will try to do. They'll kind of push you out to the side and try to keep you on the outskirts of the zone. We've done a good job of pushing through that. We get bodies in front, and we'll get goals that way. Obviously, the weakest link for Fire and Ice is their goaltender. The guy is horrific. Like, there's just no 2 ways to put it. He is definitely the weakest goaltender in the division. He might be weaker than a lot of the goalies we faced in C2. Or excuse me, C3. But yeah, so pour it on is the game plan. Throw them from everywhere, throw them from anywhere. If it doesn't go in, there's probably a rebound chance coming. That's when you go in, crash the net, and get the goals. Just keep that up, and we should be fine. So, again, it'll show up down here if it hasn't already. 10 o'clock tomorrow, main rink, Extreme Ice Center, as always. That's pretty much all I have. You had 2 highlight packages, so you got a little bit more than 10 minutes out of this episode, I'm assuming. I haven't cut it yet. I like to make these, then I cut the video, and then it all comes together, because that's how it works. But yeah, apologize for getting behind a little bit, getting back on my feet this week with it. So yeah, we'll see you Friday, and everyone come ready to play as we lay the smackdown on Fire and Ice yet again. That'll do it for this episode. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.